Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Ryan Papelio. Today we've got Dan Diaz in from Texas Cash Home Buyers, all the way in from San Antonio. Thanks for coming in. Inside joke, outside joke. How's Magnolia Market?
Oh man, it was a little wet, but it was good.
Yeah.
We had a good time. There was lots of a little bit of rain, but it was good.
That's a little mini shout out to Jawad and Corey, friends of the show.
Y'all are horrible.
I know, right? So one of the things that we're going to talk about is you were talking about fish where nobody's fishing.
Yes.
You were pitching like, what are we going to talk about? And it was just like, well, shit, let's talk about that. That's an easy one. So what does that mean to you?
Well, what that really means to me, Ryan, is depending on your markets, every market is really different. But for the most part, when you're starting out, you're probably going to be starting off as a wholesaler, and you're going to be looking for your cash buyers. And cash buyers are going to be looking at your 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,200 square foot homes to 1,500 square foot homes. In my market, which is San Antonio, it's probably going to be north of 410, south of 1604, between I-10 and 35. That's it. That's the hot zone.
Kind of like in the loop or whatever of your city.
Yeah. You know, it's a blue collar, maybe upper blue collar. Again, in my market, which is San Antonio, that would be your homes between 125 and 175, maybe 200,000. Well, the problem is you got a bunch of people fishing there, and I've seen it. I've bought homes, and the homeowners show me an entire drawer full of letters and postcards and maybe telephone numbers and business cards of people sending them "we buy houses," propaganda. So the question is, well, I mean, I hope you win, but if there's only a few fishes and there's 10,000 people trying to fish for those few fishes, what are the odds? I mean, that's really a challenging situation. So what I've learned through kind of trial and error is I'd rather be fishing where nobody's fishing. Assuming there's fishes there. But
now when you're applying that logic, are you applying it to how you're marketing or actually the location you're going for?
Both, but it is the location where I'm going for. So for example, I already know in my market, the hot zone, that people are going to be getting tons of advertisement. If I happen to get a home there or if I happen to get a lead there, I'm not going to say no to it. We're going to pursue it. We're going to try to get it. Free money's free money. But what I really mean is I've learned about other strategies that allow you to make a tremendous amount of money in a relatively short and long time frame that I think most new people don't even know exist and certainly don't know how to implement them. And that's really one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about today, is that if you are starting out or if you're a wholesaler that already has some experience under their belt, realize that there's a few things you can do to really be able to keep the deals, to maximize the deals, to make the deals even more profitable for yourself and other people.
Well, let's hear those secrets, man.
Well, no, I charge $97 a month.
Damn it!
No. Well, here's a real popular one. So when wholesalers are starting out, they probably don't have the money to buy the deal. And if they're not going to rehab it, they don't want to go the route of a hard money loan because they're like, well, if I'm not going to rehab it, how do I pay the loan?
They get scared. A lot of it's fear.
Yeah, they get scared, absolutely. And that's totally understandable. I mean, we're talking about a $100,000, $200,000, $150,000 loan that, oh crap, what if I can't pay? So what I tell, one of the quickest, easiest ways that you can do is to learn about owner financing. Now,
Which is huge in San Antonio, right?
Oh, it's big. I mean, we've got rock stars there. I don't know if they'll be happy if I tell them their names, but Mitch Stevens is
He's a friend of ours.
Great guy. He's written books about it. We've got Sam Madrid. We've got Eric. We've got a few people there that have just mastered the art of owner financing. But when I talk about owner financing, I'm not talking about the full boat of getting private funds to fund the deal. What I'm talking about is you're the seller, I'm the buyer. Can you and I come up with an agreement where I'm going to pay you in an unorthodox way or an unorthodox manner or in a planned way so that you can get everything that you want and I can get everything that I want?
So you're talking about terms.
Exactly. See, I never talk to people and say, hey, are you open to owner financing? 99% of the time they're like, no. They don't know why no, but they're going to say no. What I tell them is, listen, you're wanting, and here's just an example. Let's say that they say, well, I want $100,000, but my 70% of ARV minus repairs only allows me to pay $80,000. But I know the home is habitable. I mean, it's livable. It's pretty much be outdated, you know, but they're living in it, so it's a home that a family can live in now. I might go up to them and say, listen, the only way for me to do the only way for me to do 100, which is 100 that you want, is for you to allow me to pay you in 12 months. Is that something that you'd be okay with? If you allow me to pay you in 12 months, then we can close the deal right now. I can give you the $100,000.
And on that, just to butt in, because I like
I
like
do.
to butt in.
Yeah.
It's that if I do, it's sexy. If you've got 80, 90, or if you've got 90,000 wholesalers all offering that 75 to 85 range, and then you come around and you're like, well, I'll give you 100, they're gonna be like, oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. It gets me in the door, it gets me talking, it gets a conversation started. And I say, and then what I tell people is I have a very honest conversation with them and I say, listen, Sally Seller, in order for you, for this deal to work, I have to receive more value than the money I'm giving out. And the illustration that I usually give them, and it'll make sense to them, is the following. Let's say that I'm driving home and I'm hungry, and I know there's no food at the house, and I got $20 in my pocket, and I pass by a McDonald's that is offering Big Macs for $5. How likely am I to stop by, get that burger, and eat?
Can you say that one more time? Just
sure.
The value, not the full, but just the one-line quote, and where the value of the money, because I hear that, and if I was on my Facebook, I would pin that to the top of the comments, just because I was like, man, that's powerful.
Every single transaction in human history only existed because the person who was buying was receiving a greater value than the money they were putting out.
Right.
I'll say that again. Every single transaction in human history existed because the person giving the money was receiving a greater value than the money they were outputting.
And I think it's safe to actually throw that out there in a negotiation, because that makes sense. Like if I'm trying to sell you something and you're trying to buy something and you pitch that to me, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example. And I talk to people all the time and I say, let's think about Shark Tank. Hopefully they've watched Shark Tank or at least have an idea. I don't know if you ever noticed this, but let's say there's an entrepreneur and says, well, I need $100,000 and I'm going to give 20% of the equity. The sharks have never said, fine, I'll take your 20% equity, but I'm only going to give you $50,000. They never say that. They always say, fine, I'll give you the $100,000, but I want 50%, or I want 40%, or I want more value. They always give the amount that the person is asking, but they receive greater value than the value they were originally going to get.
Right.
Now that's powerful, because in a house situation, what value can you as the seller provide me? Well, you can't throw in more land. I mean, the land that it is, it's the land that it is. You can't throw in another house. You can't, build onto it. I mean, there's
because there's so many times we're like, well, what if I clean up the yard, or what if I fix this? It's like that does nothing for me.
That does nothing for me. However, as an investor, there's really two things there's only two things that are of value to us. And it's super important that wholesalers and even seasoned investors realize that these are the only two things that matter for you. Equity or time. Equity and time. Equity and time. That's it. So it doesn't matter what school district it's in. It doesn't matter square footage. It doesn't matter the sale price. It doesn't matter anything else. What matters to you as an investor is equity or time. So if you're able for me to do this deal, I have to receive more value. You either have to give me equity or you have to give me time. Now, when we're doing our offers of 60% of ARV minus repairs or 70% of ARV minus repairs, we might not say it, but really what we're asking for is we want equity. And that's fine. If they're happy giving us equity, we're going to pay them in 30 days.
Right.
But maybe either the circumstances don't allow them, because they have an underlying mortgage, to give equity, or we don't ask. They can give us time. I'll give you a question, and I love this question.
Before you ask that question, and just to cut you off.
No, please do.
There are a lot of knowledge bombs coming out here. I think one of our friends, she calls them knowledge apples, whatever. There's a lot of meat being thrown out your way. So if you like what you're seeing, or even if you don't like it and you're watching anyway, give us a like, give us a share, put this out there. Dan came all the way in from San Antonio, so give him a lot of love. His company is actually tagged in the description, so go over there and like his page too. But if you like what you're seeing, give us a like, give us a share. I'm getting a lot of meat here, and hopefully you are too.
Yeah.
So ask your question.
Well, actually, before I do that, if I can kind of reach out to the audience, I want you guys to think about questions that you might want to ask me. I'm very knowledgeable when it comes to creative deal structuring and owner financing and really just kind of making things work out. Whoa, what happened?
Oh, well Corey just said Ryan loves meat.
Oh no, my mic fell. Hold on.
Uh-oh, he broke it.
Oh no. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Are we good?
Travian will let us know if we're bad or not. But all right, cool.
Are we still good? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
we're
just
fine.
gonna leave it
Nah,
there.
that's fine.
So ask questions. You know, we're
Yeah.
gonna be answering questions.
Well, the
afterwards.
whole thing about what we do here is what we were saying before. It's very interactive. If you have questions, ask away. We'll answer them, and we'll go there. And even our friend Corey talked about how I love meat. I do. Anyway.
do.
So you were going to ask a question before we kind of went in this little mini tangent.
Yeah. So we were talking about
Terms,
yes,
equity,
yes,
time.
Yes. So I'll ask you a question, Ryan. If you're a seller or if you're a buyer, doesn't matter. Would you ever pay for a house that's worth $100,000? Would you ever pay $1 million?
I know the answer to this, and I'm going to pretend I don't know
Okay.
the answer, but I'll say, hell no, I'm not going to give you $1 million for a $100,000 house.
And honestly, you shouldn't be paying $1 million for a $100,000 house.
But-
except,
Right.
and you know it, but a lot of our audience doesn't know it. What if you'd be willing to accept $100 a month until the debt's paid off?
Am
Well,
I the seller or am I the buyer?
doesn't matter.
If I'm the buyer, I'm like, hell yeah.
See,
But if I'm the seller and maybe I'm not really aware of math, I'm like,
and the fact it's going to take 800 years to pay?
right. And that's where we go back to the whole terms.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, I'm getting $1 million
Yes.
for my home. Hell yeah.
So I can pay you $1 million for a $100,000 home if you let me pay $100 a month until the debt's paid off. Realistically, in the real world, you're probably not going to take that deal. I might do the deal, but I might not. It's kind of funky. You don't want on paper $1 million debt for something that's only worth $100,000. So but I think it really illustrates the fact that as investors, we value equity and we value time. If you want all your money up front the next 30 days, you have to provide all the value from the equity by giving me a discount. Or if you want all your equity, give me plenty of time, and then I can still give you all the equity. So equity or time, those are two valuable things.
So knowing that strategy and coming back to the whole fish where nobody's fishing, how do I apply that as an investor in whatever mark I'm in
So
to be more competitive?
yeah, absolutely. So the leads that you're already doing, which I'm sure are great, pitch them from a different angle. Go to the other side of the lake, so to speak, and throw them a different bait and say, hey, listen, you want 70,000, I can only do 60,000. How about if you and I come up with a creative way to receive those 70,000, then I can go ahead and do the deal.
And I'm glad you used that word creative, because we say it probably on a daily basis here about, get out of the wholesaling world and get creative. Like, get creative with your terms, get creative with your pitching, get creative with all of it. Whether it be a sub-2 deal, an owner finance deal, a straight-up cash deal, terms deal, just be creative with it. And I think everybody, especially in the investment world, if I go to XYZ training school of the weekend, whatever, they teach you one way, and that's how 92% of the investment competitive field do it. So if you're of the 8%, I'm just shitting out numbers, by the way.
Yeah.
If you're of the minority and you're doing it creatively, you're going to be more competitive and more successful.
So a couple of the baits that you can shoot, that you can get real creative, and literally you can come up with a million different ways to do this, but to kind of give everyone a parameter and a little bit of value that they can take home right now and apply is, if the home is perfectly livable and it would pass a loan but is just outdated, what I would do, if it's possible, tell them, hey, I'll give you a little bit more than my wholesalable number if you allow me 12 months to pay. You're not asking for 30 years. You're not asking for an outrageous amount. You're just asking for 12 months to pay. Now, you as a wholesaler might be wondering, well, okay, that's great. I have it under contract. We can close on it. They're giving me 12 months to pay. What do I do with it? Remember, these are only for homes that the only issue with them is they're outdated. But if a loan would go on them, if everything would go out, you know, if a family would buy it and you're able to sell it at a discount, just slap it on the MLS. Slap it on the MLS. You're now the owner. Close on it. Get the deed. You're basically giving them a 12-month, or giving yourself a 12-month balloon to pay that.
And it's almost like an, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's almost like thinking in the terms of like an option. Because the only reason you get an option is because I'm not too sure about paying that full amount. So even if you do assign it later and you're able to, or throw it on MLS, and if you wanted to buy at 60, but they wanted it at 70, but you were able to, and maybe the wholesale number is 70 and you were able to MLS it for 85, well, yeah, you still paid 10 more than you wanted to, but you made 15.
Yeah. You got to remember, the investor is going to be, you know, depending on your markets, but they're going to be anywhere between the 70% of ARV minus repairs and maybe up to 76, 78, maybe 80% of ARV minus repairs.
It just depends your market.
Yeah, you got to know your market, so that's important. But an end user owner occupant, they might pay 90% of ARV minus repairs. They'll pay 95%. They'll pay full market value minus repairs.
Yeah, it's kind of fun when we talk numbers up here because people on sometime will chime in what their average ARV percentage is. That being said, if you're watching, type in what your buy criteria is. Like mine personally is 75% minus repairs.
I'm at 55%.
50 in San Antonio, he's at 55% minus. So
it's hard to get me deals.
But certain markets, maybe you're in Phoenix and it's 65%. Maybe you're in Florida and it's 20%. I don't know.
Yeah.
Houston with the hurricane, who knows what that is? So drop what your percentage is just for and say your location as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, just for fun.
So an owner occupant they're always going to pay more. I mean, because again, they don't value equity as much as we do. They value the school district, they value the square footage, they value the layout, they value, whatever it is that they value, but they'll pay more than an investor.
Right.
So a very simple, easy way that you can lock up deals, assuming they're not behind in payments, assuming, it's not a distressed situation is, listen, you want $100,000, I can only do 90, but tell you what, we're not too far apart. If you give me 12 months to pay, we can wrap it up, give me a 12-month balloon, and then you're just gonna put it on the MLS, you're gonna get an owner occupant, obviously at a higher price, and everyone's gonna be happy. That's a great, great strategy. Another strategy that I like to talk a lot about is you want full equity of the home, and this works primarily if they don't have an underlying mortgage. If they do, you got to sub-2 part of it, and then there's a whole few other components. But if it's free and clear, even if it's beat up, and let's say your wholesale numbers only allow you to pay $50,000 for that home, but they want 60 or 70, say great. If you let me pay in 180 equal monthly payments, I can do that all day. Now, my pitch to a lot of people is don't turn your house into a lump sum of money, turn it into monthly income.
Right.
Because all of my pitches
are
terms. So you want 100% of your equity, great. If you allow me to pay you in 180 equal monthly payments, we got ourselves a deal. Now let's talk about the investor side. What does that mean? Did you hear the word down payment?
I did not.
No, and I'm talking about down payment. Did you hear an interest rate?
I did not.
I'm not paying an interest rate.
I just heard monthly payments.
I just heard monthly payments, and that's all I'm going to give. So if you're able to do that kind of deal, you tell them, I will give you 100% of your equity if you let me pay in 180 equal monthly payments. Boom. You just walked yourself into a zero down, zero interest rate, fully amortized 15-year note.
And then on top of that, if you calculate inflation in there, you're actually making
an appreciation.
Yeah.
No, that's
get creative,
way too
guys.
much.
Get creative out there.
Get creative. And you're thinking, well, why would anyone do that? Real simple. You might not know it, but once you start having conversation with people, and I have them all the time, I say, listen, Mr. Seller, I'm just curious. With all this money, what are you going to do with it? How long do you think it's going to last you? And then their creative juices started going, and we quickly realized something called the lottery winner phenomenon. The lottery winner phenomenon states that 98% of lottery winners will have nothing to show for it within 36 months.
And on that note, I'm just thinking in terms of the seller and negotiating tactics. Say they're elderly and they're wanting to leave something for their heirs. You could literally just say, do you really trust Bobby and Susie to not blow all this money in one go?
Yeah.
You're protecting their future by giving them a monthly.
Yes, yes. These notes are it's part of your estate, so they're fully heirable. Is that a word? They're passed on as an heir. They're heirloomable.
Sure. Airshipable. It's in the estatedness of the airship of.
None of those are words.
It's real estate. Nobody
So anyways, yeah. Do you want to pass on a lump sum of money that, Susie, Bob, and Joe are going to blow? Or would you like to take care of their monthly bills for the next 15, 20, 30 years? So once you start really, really getting them, now the conversation that I love having, if they tell me, what are you going to do with the money? I always have that conversation. What are you going to do with the money once you receive it? If they tell me, well, I'm going to put it, in my 401k. Man, that's great. How much has it been paying you? And of course, depending on who they have their 401k with, it might be 4%, 5%, 6%. I've seen 7 or 8%. They're a little aggressive. And that's a real easy way for you to step in and like, well, what if I paid you 8%, fixed, guaranteed, for the next 30 years? Would that be something you'd like to look into? Like, well, how can you pay me 8%? And then that's how you tiptoe your way into, well, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a note, and we're going to attach to that note a fixed 8%, return on your investment, fixed 8% APR, and it'll be for the next 30 years.
And I just want to jump on that. Again, if you're in a competitive market like Dallas, Fort Worth is, like San Antonio is, and you go into a house that does have a stack of all those cards, and everybody's doing the same pitch, they're all spitting out the same game of I'll give you a 65, 75% ARV, and you're like, look, I can do that if that's what you want, but I could do this, and all of a sudden they're gonna be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're absolutely right. The only reason it wouldn't work is if there is a specific bill, we're going to call it a bill, specific expense that is attached to the sale of that house that they need to do next month. For example, if they need to, bail out John and the bailout money is $50,000. Well, you can't do bailout money over 30 years. But that's very little. Most of the time is I want to pay my bills, I want to go on vacation, I want to save for my retirement.
Now,
that's it.
For say the wholesaler in me, like I don't do any much wholesaling anymore, but the wholesaler in me, how does this help me at all? Because if I've got a 15-year fixed note or a 12-month note or a balloon, like, yes, I'm just buying time to do whatever I want with it. But is this more for, hey, I want to develop a rental portfolio,
Yes.
I want to develop a owner finance portfolio? Is that
Yeah,
what we're talking
absolutely.
here,
So once you have them locked up into seller financing to you deals, huge golden nugget coming right up, guys. Always, you want to keep yourself out of trouble, always buy like you sell and sell like you buy. Now that's super important. What do I mean by that? If you're buying in one lump sum, don't try to sell in monthly payments. If you're buying in one lump sum, really your exit strategy should be to flip it and to get it paid in one lump sum. Now, if you're going to be buying in monthly payments, the best strategy is to sell it in monthly payments, whether that's rental or whether that's a wrap mortgage and you owner finance it. So yes, you're absolutely setting yourself up. So let's think about it. Let's say that you've got a deal that the seller agreed to seller finance to you for $100,000, 8% interest rate for the next 30 years. No balloon, no prepayment penalty, easy breezy fixed deal. What are you going to do with it? Well, depending on the value of the home, maybe you're going to sell it for $130,000, $140,000 at 10 or 12%. Now, the difference between the sell and the buy is that you're not going to be putting a down payment if you negotiated, right? You heard I never talked about down payment, but you are going to receive a down payment. You're going to be outputting 6%, 7%, 8%, but you're going to be receiving 10%, 11%, 12%. And guys, these deals are out there. I just finished a deal about 5 days ago, maybe, where I went ahead and put on a contract, $22,750. It's an absolute fixer-upper for 12% interest rate. That's a little high. Normally don't do that for 15 years. However, I've already got a buyer maybe 6-7 days later that I'm going to owner finance to them for $49,000 at 12% for 15 years, creating a spread of right around $380, $390, almost $400. I've done nothing to it. I didn't even mow the grass. I've done absolutely nothing to it, but provided the value of the financing.
So when you walk into a home for the first time, I got a lead for 123 Main Street. Do you already know the exit strategy going in, or by the terms, or not the terms, but just the way the conversation is going, does that dictate how you're going to go? Because on one hand, yes, it could be a flip. On the other hand, it could be a wholesale. On the other hand, it could be an owner finance. On the other hand, it could be a rental. Yeah. Do you have a go-to strategy, or do you let the deal itself dictate your exit?
Well, the deal has to dictate the strategy. The circumstances also have to dictate the strategy. But also what's super important is the needs of the homeowner. So when I go into a home, I tell them, listen, I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy your home. I don't know if we're going to be able to work out a deal. But my goal today is to learn about your needs, learn about your goals, and point you in the right direction. If that direction happens to be with me, where I can make money and a profit, great. If that direction is not within me, but it's rather connecting you with someone else, I'm happy to do that at no charge. Think of this as an in-home, personal, real estate consultation that is going to give you answers, and you decide. There's no obligation, there's no charge. You decide what is best for you. And
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think as investors, whether they be early novice investors, or maybe they've been doing it for a while, too often it's the deal, it's the house, and they forget about, why are they selling it? What's the pain? Find the pain, and that's how you gravitate the terms. That's how you negotiate. Not the house, but the pain itself.
Yeah. The house is really just I guess, the tool that allows the two of you to come together in a conversation. But it's, I'm not a mechanic. I don't know mechanics. I don't know how to fix cars. But I know that there's a bunch of tools in your toolbox. And just because you hear a noise in a car, you don't know what it is, but you got to go in there and figure out. And maybe it's a screwdriver that fixes it. Maybe it's a wrench. Maybe it's, a gallon of gasoline and a lighter that fixes the problem.
Wombly tool.
Yeah. So, go with your toolbox in your head of all the possibilities that you're able to do. Go beyond the 70% of ARV minus repairs minus assignment fee, and just have a conversation. I tell people, you got to go out there and start shaking hands, kissing babies, and making friends. That's what you got to do.
On that, just to build on that, I'll throw a Daniel nugget out there. One of Daniel's tips that he'd always do when he was actively marketing and actively buying is he would have a giant accordion folder in his car with every kind of contract, every kind of addendum, amendment, any type of exit any type of terms or any type of strategy he may have to utilize at that point in time, he had the access to do it. So just a quick random tip for you guys, it's like,
that's our toolbox.
Yeah, have your toolbox. Your type of your agreements are your toolbox. One thing you said a second ago that now I'm losing in my head as I'm speaking.
Oh no!
And I regret it. I know. Shit. Well, never mind. I'll get to it in a second.
Oh,
I know. Damn it. I hate that.
It happens.
I mean, it's real estate, y'all.
It happens.
This is free programming. Deal with it.
If you don't like it, you'll get a refund.
On that note, hey, give us a like, give us a share. If you have questions, just drop them in the box, in the comedy thingy, and we'll have them come on up. And I think Ryan Jackson here in the studio has a question coming up. So he's going to come over here on the microphone and give us a question.
All right, this thing on. All right, Dan, I really appreciate you coming up here. It's just awesome meeting you finally. I know we've been Facebook friends for a while, but here in DFW, I don't have a better way to say it, but we have a lot of wholesalers everywhere. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry in this town is wholesaling. And if they ain't wholesaling, they want to learn to wholesale. So we got all these wholesalers just rushing to, outbid this person. Oh man, you don't want to do that guy. You want to do my deal, and it's coming up at like 85% deals. So how do I start getting the strategies of you want your equity, your time, when I got I don't want to throw any names out here, but I think you know who they are. That are saying, oh, we'll give you 85%, we'll give you, top dollar for it based on the average. So how do I compete with these big box wholesalers that do a lot of double closes, wink, wink, if you know who I'm talking about, and get a deal like you said here in our market in DFW?
Well, I think what's super important, that's a great question. What's super important is to realize that you just need to have a conversation with people. You need to, and every person's different, but what I recommend, what I suggest, what I do is when I get on the phone, the only reason I'm on the phone with them is because I want to have a cup of coffee with them. That's it. Once we have a conversation with them, I ask them, how many investors have approached you? I already know it's been at least 10. In my market, I'm sure in San Antonio it's the same. And I asked them, how much have you already received? And if they don't want to tell me, like, I already know how much you've received. These are the numbers that work. If you haven't gone with them, the reason is because they have not fulfilled your needs or you don't feel that you can trust them. So let's just have a conversation, Mr. Seller. What is it that they've lacked? Why haven't you done a deal with them? What do I need to do to get you to get rid of this problem house? And I can't really say right now, well, okay, this is the strategy or this is what you want to do, because it's really a one-on-one conversation with them. But in having that conversation, you're going to learn things about them that'll tell you what tools you need to bring out of your toolbox to do them. So for example, if they're saying, well, they're offering me X amount of money, but after I pay my mortgage, that's only going to leave me with $10,000. Well, one, you already found out there's a mortgage, so maybe there's a possibility of walking into a sub-2 transaction. And you can say something like, okay, so let me recap. You said that with the offers that you've received, you're only going to walk away with $10,000. Now, you'll be getting the $10,000 in the next, maybe 30 days. But that's really not enough. What are you trying to do with your money? What if I could offer you $15,000, but you give me 12 months to pay it? You think that's something we can work out? And they'll be like, well, yeah, but how's it actually going to work out? I'm like, well, in the next 12 months, I'll take care of your mortgage. I'll take care of your property taxes. I'll take care of your insurance. I'll take care of repairs. I'll be fully responsible for your home. And all I need in exchange is for you to give me 12 months to pay those $15,000. Now, again, you got to know your numbers and you got to know that this works. But if they're okay with that, the quickest, easiest strategy is to slap it on the MLS for a higher amount. There's going to be a lien, because you're going to give them a lien. You're going to do the right thing. You're going to give them a lien. You're going to give them a deed of trust. And you're going to go ahead and sell it for X price. The mortgage payment is going to get paid. They're going to get paid. And then you're going to receive the difference.
Like a 12-month balloon or something like that.
Yeah, 12-month balloon.
Okay.
Now, here's the kicker. I don't know the market here, but it doesn't take 12 months to sell a home, that's in decent shape.
Right.
Out with a loan. On the third month, whenever you've got a solid buyer, give them a quick call and say, hey, listen, Mr. Seller, I know we talked about 12 months to pay the $15,000. I actually ran into some money right now. You think we can settle in maybe 12 or 13? And I'll pay you now? I mean, 9 out of 10 times they'll say yes, and congratulations, you just made an extra 2 or 3.
Boom.
Or if they say no, we're like, okay, well, I'll see you in 12 months.
I'll see you in 12 months. That's right.
You haven't lost that thing. Of course, it's a poker game because you have a buyer.
Yeah, you got a buyer coming, so
happening.
All right, thanks, Dan.
But that's a great question. That's a real good question.
So, just to circle back all the way back to the beginning, because that's all I do is I like to circle. We're talking about fish where nobody's fishing. We talked about the terms and the strategies and doing what other people are not doing. What about location? Because one of the things that I've always heard in this growing up in this industry is you want to, as far as wholesaling goes, yeah, go wherever the deal is. But for like flipping, you want to make sure you stay within a 30-minute bubble of where you're going to be located.
Hot zone.
Well, yeah, your hot zone, because if you've got a toilet leak or you got a whatever, or you got to look at a house, you want to be able to get to it in a timely manner.
So when it comes to fish where nobody's fishing, I talked a little bit about fishing with deal structures that nobody's using.
Right.
That's one of the aspects. But the second aspect is Do you think there's a ton of investors going out after vacant, unrestricted raw land?
Maybe,
Well, there's
maybe
your
not.
answer. Most are not. Why? Because hard money loans won't work on them. So there's not a whole lot of cash buyers for them.
Right.
I go after raw and restricted land all the time. Half acres, 1 acres, acres and a half, 10-acre parcels that I can subdivide into 1-acre parcels. What am I going to do with them? Something that you guys need to learn and drop your ego, because there's a ton of money behind this market, and I'm going to drop a huge golden nugget and a money bombshell right now.
Hashtag golden nugget.
Hashtag
money bomb.
Yes.
Because I'm 12 and I like to use
Learn
hashtags.
about mobile homes.
Wow.
Learn about mobile and manufactured homes. Big shout out to Corey right there. 'cause
Right.
she
That's what I
knows
was going to
about
say.
it. Why is this? 2 reasons. One, investors are not going after them. Wholesalers are not going after them. They don't know what to do with them. Every single deal that I bought that involves a mobile home on land has always been passed up by other wholesalers and investors. So if they only have one person to talk to, they're going to listen to anything I say. I'm able to get deals at 40%, 50%, 60% of ARV minus repairs. And I'm able to get them in a creative way where I have to put no money out. I'm able to lock the deal, put the deed under my name, and go ahead and either wrap mortgage it or go ahead and sell it on the MLS. So you need to learn about mobile and manufactured homes on land, in mobile home parks, by themselves. I was talking about raw and restricted land. Most people, it's kind of funny, they don't know the value of land, and land really doesn't have a whole lot of value, I guess, in our heads until there's a house in it. And even for a bank. So if you have a 1-acre parcel, again, I'm going to talk about my market because I know it. If I have a 1-acre parcel in South San Antonio, tax value is maybe $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, maybe $11,000. So go ahead and lock it up, take it to a mobile home dealership. They'll buy it all day, every day for $15,000, $18,000, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 an acre. Because what you don't know is that there's a ton of people who go to mobile home dealerships and they think the dealerships have land for them, and they don't. And the reason they don't have is because they don't, well, that's a whole other conversation.
Well, their business is the actual structure, not the land.
Well,
I'm assuming.
That's correct. That's correct. I don't know if we have time to talk about this.
Next time.
For the last 30 years, mobile home industry has fought tremendously against being called real estate. They do not want to be called real estate. The reason they want to stay in the personal property umbrella is because they're able to charge 18, 21, 28, 29%, just like a car, a boat, an RV. Now, if they were to fall, this might sound weird, but HUD has been trying to get them to be considered real estate for 30 years, and they refuse to, because once they go into the real estate market, then they're stuck with the 3%, 4%, 5%, 8%, 7%
Dodd-Frank
interest
or
rate.
whatever.
Yes. So one of the things that they do in order to completely separate themselves is they simply don't offer land. You're never going to walk into a Palm Harbor, Titan, any other mobile home dealership and buy land from them. But they do have a problem. They have mobile home buyers that want land and don't have land, so that's where you come in and put the two together.
So on that note, do you make relationships with those dealerships to be like, or is there like a regulation that says you can't be that close? Can you be like, hey Joe, the mobile home dealer, I'm your guy?
Yeah, I can say, hey Joe, would you like a taco? Because I want to build a relationship with you. The 6 dealerships in San Antonio, they get food from me on a regular basis.
Okay.
That's just the way it happens. They get tacos and donuts and coffee and things like
Because if they've got an interested party going to buy this,
Yes.
whatever, you're like, oh, well, you need
I
a
got
place.
land.
Do you have a place to put that thing? No. Well, call Dan.
that. Yeah. And see, the thing is, they have to say call Dan because they want to separate themselves as much as they can
Right.
from the real estate portion. As a matter of fact, they're not going to buy the land to put it together. What they're going to do is they're going to say, go look for land or go talk to Dan, he's got land. I show them the land that they have. They're going to provide them a loan that it's going to put together their mobile home with my land. The land will never pass under the ownership of the mobile home.
Now, quick
dealership.
question. Are you a realtor?
Oh, God, no.
So therefore, I can ask this question.
Yes.
And I don't know the rules or the laws. Is there, other than a taco, is there a referral fee, a kickback, a wink, or anything like that?
No, there's no rules that are attached to let's be friends. And
Got it.
how can we be friends?
You leave it at that. If y'all have any questions, please drop them in. Again, give us likes, give us shares. If you need MLS comps, check out Propelio. We do lead lists, we do comps, we do all that. That's our subtle plug for why we do this. As far as what you're doing in your business, what are you looking for? Or if somebody in San Antonio, or maybe somebody in Dallas is like, man, I really like this guy. Is there any way other investors can work with you?
Yeah, our business really is like I said earlier, it's shaking hands, kissing babies, and making friends, and it's about connecting. One of the big, hairy, audacious goals that I have for 2018 is to do my first very large land purchase, and I'm talking about 100 plus acres, and subdivide them into 1 to 3 acre parcels. So if you know somebody
for the prospect of mobile homes,
yes,
okay.
yes, absolutely, owner financing them and selling them outright to people who are going to put mobile homes in them.
I have somebody.
Really?
It's Corey.
I'd talk to Corey later, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you know somebody who I don't even care if they're selling them, if they just own them. In San Antonio, there's only about 1,400 people that own 100 acres or more. Don't ask me how I know that. I know stuff. There's only about 1,400 people in San Antonio that own 100 plus acres. I want to get to know them. I want to take them much breakfast, take them much lunch, get a conversation going as to what they're going to do with their land and how can we turn that land into monthly income. Because I want to tell you this, Ryan, I'm not going to get a bank loan for those 100 acres. I'm going to get it seller financed with 0 down and possibly 0 interest rate. I will do that.
Now, as far as just for the people that do like to geek out on numbers, what kind of profit? Do you have a target, or is it a lump sum, or is it a percentage? Like, what's your target there?
For what?
Profit.
A ton.
There you go. You heard it here first.
I'll take half tons, quarter tons.
I like. It's like, did you watch the Netflix Narcos? He's like just stacks of money. That's what I want. I want a stack of money.
Yeah. Well,
I want a ton of cash.
I'll take quarter tons. I'll take quarter tons.
Not like the metaphorical. I actually want a weighted ton. Of cash.
No, my kind of threshold to kind of get me excited is I need to see $300 per month on a spread. I have different ways of making that spread, but $300 is where I'm happy, whether it's a wrap mortgage or whether it's a seller finance.
It's interesting you say that because it's kind of like the theme. Because Wednesday, Grant Kemp was in here. We have a little weekly show. Grant Teach Me Something, and the spiel Wednesday was how do you retire, or what is your target to retire? And he's like,
it's a good show.
I want 10 years in this and that, and it was basically 3 to 350 average. So it seems like, for the retirement world, it's like, look, if I can get a house that pays me $300, that seems to be kind of like the number. And you just wheel and deal and get those, and then you can actually have success.
Less than 300 doesn't really, excite me.
Right. It seems like more like pain in the ass.
Yeah. I mean, I don't deal with them because I have systems set up. I've got third-party note servicing companies that send bills and send them their tax statements, and literally the money gets deposited. I guess if a deal falls on my lap and it's only $299 a month, I mean, I'm not going to say no, but you asked me what deals kind of attract me to it. But what I want to really hopefully drill the message is that you don't have to go to $100,000 homes. There's a deal the deal that I was talking about in Mathis, Texas, that I bought seller finance for $22,750. It's a dump. That one's going to create about a $400 spread for the next 15 years, and I'm not doing anything to it. You have to fish where nobody's fishing. How many people do you think are mailing or talking to people in Mathis, Texas? 3? I don't know. I mean, there's just not a whole lot of buyers and sellers and investors going out there. Now, am I marketing to Mathis, Texas? No, but I'm simply making myself available and communicating and positioning myself in circles where other investors are not. Oh, I wanted to talk about that. Wholesalers, I know you probably think I need to go to mixers, I need to go to events, I need to, network, and you do, I guess.
Especially on February 26th.
Yes.
At the Harper Community Cultural Center.
Plug.
Whatever he's about to say, let's grain of salt whatever he's about to say.
You need to go to that one.
That is the exception.
Yeah, that is the exception. Actually, that really is the exception, because what I was going to say is you need to network in events and places where there's not a lot of competition of other investors. So for example, go to food banks. You know, for example, go to PTA meetings, go to local community events, go to you know, networking.
So you're referring to networking to potential sellers.
Sellers and buyers and private lenders. You know, I do private lending as well. I don't do it, but I receive money in private lending. So make yourself known. Again, fishing where nobody's fishing. If you go to the traditional realtor mixers, 80% realtors, 20% investors, it's the same stinking fish going back and forth. You can't eat each other up.
So on those, it's really no business. It's more like rah, let's get to know people.
You know, you did good.
Oh, I saw you
did
on
better,
Facebook.
and,
Yeah.
you know, high five, and you know, can I get you a drink so you can buy me next drink? I mean, that's all there is.
So, you know, because you're in from San Antonio, let's talk about 2018. Let's talk about the market. Where do you see the San Antonio market going in 2018? Is it a bubble? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Is it going to be stagnant? Like, full disclosure, I know nothing about San Antonio real estate.
Full disclosure, neither do I.
Well, that answers that question.
That's the truth. You know, when you're a problem solver, and that is the truth, I have no idea. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, yeah, you know, 2018 seems to have a projected 3.75%.
No predictions, yeah.
I have no idea.
You probably don't care.
I don't, you know, but when you become a problem solver, you can make money in Mathis, Texas.
Right.
You know, you can make money anywhere. All we do, if you get really good at what you're doing, is get someone with a problem, provide them a solution, and the solution has to provide revenue for you. That's it. And just learn to be good at it. So are we in a bubble? I don't know. Honestly, my gut feeling tells me that it's a very strong market. We were not affected by 08. Funny tidbit, Forbes magazine rated San Antonio as being the largest city least affected by the 08 bubble.
Well, that answers that question.
And why was that? We're very conservative. We didn't follow, you know, all the crazy loans. We didn't go nuts the way a lot of other states and markets did. So we're very stable. Slowly but surely, prices are going up. But we're, you know, our values are very Christian based. We're very moderate. We're very conservative. We don't make, you know, crazy, stupid decisions for the most part. And I think it'll be healthy. But it doesn't have, you know, the volatility that other markets do. I don't know.
It's not Bitcoin. Looks like we have a question
Sure.
over here.
I have a question here from Henry. Says, as a wholesaler, when I see a mobile home that's on land, should I be calling up the dealers? Because most of my buyers won't want to touch them. I mean, what should I be doing whenever I find a mobile home on land?
Okay. A couple of things. One of them, I'm hoping you want to keep it. And if you want to keep it, that's great. If the mobile home is on land, you need to find out if it has been turned into real estate. Now, the quickest, easiest way for you to do that is to go to the county appraiser district and find out if the BCAT, well, San Antonio's BCAT because Bear County Appraisal District, but is it just the land or is it the mobile home and the land? If it is just the land, then that means the mobile home is personal property, and that's going to be a situation that I'm probably going to suggest you steer clear from, because then you're dealing with two separate entities. However, if it's on land and it was sold as a mortgage, and the mobile home is now part of the land legally, and it's been fixed, just treat it like any other deal. Try to get it subject to, find out if there's a mortgage. If it's paid off, try to get, you know, seller financing terms on it. It follows no other difference than traditional numbers. I would try to not push a cash number, because you're going to encounter the problem that you're not going to find a cash buyer. So off the bat, you know, I would try to find a creative way for you to keep it. But the first thing you need to do is find out if the mobile home is still personal property, or if it was turned into real property. Good question. What else we got?
Well, I was going to say, you know, in terms of Moto Rah-Rah, you know, it is being kind of early January. What was your biggest success of 2017?
One of the biggest successes, and it wasn't necessarily in money, but it was in the way things kind of worked out, is I had a wholesaler brought me a deal. It was a triple wide. Yeah, they do exist. 3,100 square foot, 5-bedroom, 3-bath home. Crazy, you know, but they exist on an acre and a half. The lady bought the home when she was married and her kids were in the home. So at the time, it was a great home for her 10 years ago. Kids moved away, husband passed away, and she's in an empty home. she had actually received a cash offer from one of those, and we're not going to say who they are, but one of those double closing institutional investors, cash buyers, for $75,000.
Does it start with an N?
It does.
Okay.
It does, and they're worth a lot of money.
Okay.
It does. I said, well, great. Why didn't you take it? And she says, well, I have a mortgage, and it's $60,000, and that would leave me with about $15,000, and I owe my son right around $15,000. I know he's not going to charge me for the money, but it's a moral obligation. I got to pay my son. Now, at the end of the day, that's going to leave me with no money. So I just don't really like that situation. Now, she was only 1 month behind on mortgage, so it wasn't really a foreclosure situation. So I listened to her and I said, well, does your son need his money now? And she's like, no, he probably isn't even counting on it anymore. I'm like, okay. How much money would it make sense for you to walk away? Would you feel happy? And before she answered, I said, how about 5? And she says, well, I think if I got 10 out of the deal, that would make me happy. I'm like, great. And you don't need the money right now, right? She says, no. How about if I give you the money in a year? Would that work out for you? And she says, yeah. She's like, you guarantee me that you give me your money in a year? I said, yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you a deed of trust that collateralizes this debt with the home. And she says, okay. Now understand that I'm actually going to be buying the home, so I will need for you to move. Where are you going to move to? Well, I'm going to move to my son's house. Okay, great. Do you need any movers? No, I'm good. You'll help me out. Great. I'm like, what about the mortgage? And this is a funny conversation because I've had deals. Y'all are going to laugh, but it's all about negotiation. I've had deals where the sellers continue making the mortgage payment for a few months. Yeah. It's all about asking.
They don't even live there.
They don't even live there anymore. So I said, well, what about the mortgage? Who's going to take care of it, during this year? And she's like, well, I'm already kind of a month behind, so I don't know if I can handle it. And I said, well, tell you what, you're a real nice lady. How about I take care of your mortgage for the next 12 months? You'll do that for me? Yeah, I just need you to sign, that's our agreement. So our agreement is going to be that I'm going to take care of your mortgage for the next 12 months, moving forward. And I'm not going to assume the loan. I'm just going to make payments on your behalf until the mortgage is paid off. And in 12 months, I'm going to give you, the $25,000.
Yeah.
25, correct. And she says, yeah, I'm down with that. And I asked her, do you have any intentions, she's almost 70 years old, do you have any intentions of buying another home? And she says, no, I'm good. I'm like, okay, good, because if this plays out well, I might turn it into a rental, and the loan will remain under your name for eternity, until it's paid off. I don't do any sub-twos that have an end time. If you're going to sub it, it's going to be for forever. Mm-hmm. And she says, no, I'm good. I'm like, okay, cool. My intention was to get somebody with $25,000, $30,000 down and sell it on a wrap, but as things turned out, I simply put it on the market, and we got a normal buyer. Mm-hmm. And I'll let you guys do the math. We ended up selling it for $155,000. So we have $155,000 coming in. I did not use a realtor, did it myself. I did put about $10,000 into slightly rehabbing it, paint and some carpet. We paid her off the $25,000, and then we paid off the underlying mortgage. That was probably about a $60,000 deal when everything was said and done.
60, 85, so about 95 minus 155, and then fees, whatever.
Yeah.
So about 60 grand.
Yeah,
minus
more or
fees.
less. Yeah. On a mobile home.
Yeah.
On a mobile home that
Well, every
investors
investor is like,
passed
nope,
up.
nope.
Yeah, and even that lovely company that starts with an N and is worth a lot of money, they only had a tunnel vision and said we can only do $75,000. Mm-hmm. Well, when you talk to the people, I was able to secure that deal because of the way the conversation had, and it was over coffee at Starbucks. I mean, that's
So
what it
60
is.
grand on a mobile home. If you've ever made money on a mobile home, what's the most you've ever made? Okay, so that's a pretty good
that was
success.
a good deal. That was a good success story because I really was able to tap into the owner's needs, and it was a real nice old lady. After we signed over and once everything was said and done, and it's funny because Ryan a little while ago, the pitch that I told him, I did it to the lady. We got a buyer within 6 months. I give her a phone call and I say, hey, I ran into some money. I know I said 25, but can we settle on 20? And she says, no, I'll wait. I was like, no, that's fine. I'll just give you the 25. I mean, I can't win them all.
Yeah.
She was just real happy. She sends me referrals all the time. She tags me on Facebook. And she says, this is the guy who bought my house and took care of everything for me. So, I mean, that is priceless. It
Right.
really, really is priceless.
What about pain? What's the in your career? You must have had something that you were like, oh, shit. What makes you squirm, cry, panic attack when you think about it? Because that's what we like to see.
Yeah. There's been a couple of opportunities. I will call them opportunities. And it's funny that you mentioned that because it happened with that same exact buyer.
Okay.
Here's a lesson that I learned. Whenever you're selling to a buyer, if they have an FHA loan, it's just gonna suck. So you got to be ready for it. They were scheduled to close in March, and they did not close till June. And it wasn't totally their fault. I mean, I later kind of found out that they weren't totally honest on their applications, so that kind of skewed the numbers and what have you. But you have to really be aware of who's buying and what contingencies they have and what things can go wrong. If you have a buyer with an FHA loan, just be aware. Half the time might not go through. Do you really want to deal with them? One of the lessons that I learned that I'm going to apply is I don't care if an FHA buyer has only 3.5%, only has to put 3.5% down. I want to see that they have 20% in their bank account. Me personally.
Like open up your mobile app.
Yes. Let me see what you got.
I don't want to see it print out. I want to see a mobile app.
Yes. And I want to see that you have that money because at the end of the day, they're going to have to shell out that money to get the deal done. And if they don't have that money, then you just lost your time and your effort. So that was a big thing. The other thing that I've kind of learned.
I will say real quick, just on that, because we're talking about the mobile apps. Quick tip for all the highly competitive world out there: if you've got that much money in your bank account, I know a lot of real estate investors were always like liquid poor, but if you're going on these buy calls and you're negotiating, if you have that much money, show it. Be like, look, these other guys are just talking. I got the money right there. So, and then that's gonna sway them to possibly go your way more so than somebody who's just doesn't have any money. So if you can prove that you have the money on the buy side, they're probably going to take your lower offer just because they're not buying it. They don't have the money. If they have the money, prove it.
Yeah.
I'm proving it. So anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's good. That's good. That wouldn't work for me because I don't ever have any money.
We know, none of us do. None of us do.
But what I tell them is this, and it's funny you say that because I had this one guy. He says, "Well, let me take a look at your financials to make sure that you can support your claim that you're going to buy my house." And I said, "Well, first of all, my financials are private and confidential, and I'm not going to share them with you. And that's a deal breaker. I need to walk away." And I started, getting off my chair. And he says, "Oh, no, let's sit down." I'm like, secondly, I'm not going to prove that I can pay for this home because the truth is Dan cannot pay for this home. I'm buying this home at this number because the house can pay for itself. And I'm going to show you how. So you're asking me to buy it at this amount. I've already shown you by comps that I can sell it for this amount. And I already know that it's going to cost me this much to repair it. So I know that this house can pay for itself. You don't need to scrutinize me. You need to scrutinize the house. Now, if you have doubts about the house, then we need to go lower on the price that you're going to get paid because the house needs to pay for itself.
And you'll disclose that, right?
Yeah, the house has to pay. If the house doesn't pay for itself, I'm not putting money into it to make it float. Heck no. The house has to pay for itself. So you want to scrutinize something, you need to scrutinize the deal. And if you want to be safer about it, then we need to lower the
And they're like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, no, at that point, they're like, oh, no, backpedal, you know what you're doing. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I do know what I'm doing.
Yeah, thanks.
I do know what I'm doing.
All right. Well, as we're wrapping up, any last minute questions? Jump them in there. What about goals? Goals for 2018. And since we are early in the year, might as well what are your plans for 2018 other than taking over San Antonio, or if I don't know, maybe.
No, just San Antonio.
What was the city?
Mathis.
Mathis.
No, I'm not going back to Mathis. There's nothing there.
You're gonna take over Mathis?
That fell in my lap, and I took it. My goal really for 2018 is to network with equally successful individuals. When it comes to numbers, $3.5 million in transactional income is where we're at, where we want to be at. I've already got a plan in place to make that happen. In addition to that, $250,000 in monthly residual is where we're going to be at. That's not a big, hairy, audacious, unbelievable goal. I don't know if you remember a little while ago when I talked about the 100-acre parcel subdivided. With one deal like that, it'll be done. I've already done the math on it. So really for 2018 is what was I scared of dreaming in 2017? And what do I need to do in 2018 to achieve it? I started my investing career in November of 2015. And I love talking about this. Can I talk about it? It's going to take me 3 minutes. Okay. So I love talking about my first deal, very first deal in real estate, because it really testifies the power of deal structuring and thinking outside the box. Before I do that, I'm going to describe it to you, and I want you to tell me if you think this is a deal. A mobile home on 10 acres in Elmendorf, Texas. If you don't know Elmendorf, think meth land. I don't know if y'all have a version of that here in
I'm sure
Dallas.
Daniel could point us in the right direction.
You know, Corey knows, I'm sure.
Yeah, Corey will never
So
know, yeah.
Elmendorf, Texas, bought off the MLS at fair market value. Is that a deal? Mobile home, 10 acres, Elmendorf, Texas.
But
bought
if you're
off the
buying
MLS.
at fair market value, as an investor, you're doing the wrong thing, right?
Yes. So that's exactly what I want to point out.
Okay.
You and nobody should have done that deal. Why did I do that deal? Well, I didn't buy it to do a deal. That was my personal residence. So when I got involved into real estate investing, I thought to myself, well, I already have this property. For better or worse, it's already in my portfolio, we're going to call it. If I can turn this into money, that's going to be my litmus test. That not only, I never doubted that real estate investing could be done, but I did doubt that I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if I can turn this into money, then that's going to be my litmus test that I can do it. So I've made a really, really high bar. I said, I want to make $100,000 off this deal. I don't want to do any repairs into it, and I want monthly residual income. That's when I started learning about wraps. And I knew that because I had, low interest rate, about 4%, I could bump it up to 8% and create a spread. And I could also create, through a down payment, the initial upfront profit. I also knew something about mobile homes and land, is that people that are geared towards mobile homes and land, and again, you got to learn, you guys really got to learn mobile homes. People who are geared to mobile homes and land, part of the reason they're attracted to it is because they're kind of distrusting of the government, want to live off the grid, don't have credit, carries cash, that kind of situation. So what I did is I started marketing on Craigslist in northern states, Ohio, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey. Come retire in a Texas ranchette. That's not a real word, I found out later, but that's how I put my advertising. I figured kitchenette, ranchette. Retire in a Texas ranchette, owner finance, no credit qualifying. It took me a long time, it took me 9 months to find a buyer. But I bought it for $165 and I advertised it for $265. And I bought it for 4% and I averaged it for 8%. That was it. And I said, I want to see how long this big, hairy, audacious deal takes me to sell, to buy. And I said, there's 8.5 billion people in this world. Somebody is going to be attracted to this. I just got to find them. So it took me almost 9 months. I finally found this sweet old lady, older lady. I don't think she'd appreciate it if I called her older lady. Her back end story is that she was running away from an abusive husband, and she loved the idea that her name would not be on anything. Now, originally, because it was going to be an owner finance wrap, we were going to put it in her name, but when I understood her back end story, I said, well, how about we do a land trust? She didn't know anything about what a land trust was. But in a land trust, it allowed her to have ownership of the property of the land, of the mobile home, without her name being on it. So she asked me, Dan, so you're never going to require me to go get a loan? I'm like, nope. And this is going to be mine? Yep. And my name's not going to be on anything? Nope. That to her was tremendous value, to the tune
of $100,000.
Now the kicker is this. We were a day away from closing, and she made a real estate agent friend in San Antonio.
Oh.
You know where this is going, right?
Oh. Kick in the pants. That's where
Kick
it's
in the
going.
pants, right between the pants. She comes up to me, and she was a little timid. She says, Dan, I kind of want to talk to you about our deal. I know, we already signed on it, and, we're ready to close, but, I just met this lady, real nice lady. She's a real estate agent, and she kind of told me that $265 is a little high for the home. And this is where you really have to have avocados, to look them straight in the eye. And I said, yeah, I know. And she says, well, I don't know if I should be paying $265 for it.
Okay.
And I said, oh yeah, you shouldn't. Yeah. we're still good tomorrow? And she said, well, no, you're not getting me. I think we need to renegotiate the price. And I said, well, you can renegotiate all we want, but this is what we had agreed on. If you want to pay less, let me know when you have a check in hand, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Just realize that check is going to come with a consequence. The consequence is going to be that you're going to have to go get a loan. And then remember that name that you didn't want on any document? Well, it's going to be there. So the question is, am I just selling you a mobile home on 10 acres in Elmendorf, or am I selling you a package deal that preserves your privacy and secrecy?
Right.
Well, I think we can both agree that I'm selling you a package deal that puts together and includes privacy and secrecy. How much is that worth? I don't know. 100 grand?
And your realtor probably doesn't know
me.
anything.
You tell me. How much is that worth? Could be worth 50, could be 100, could be worth 200. I think it's worth 100. A couple weeks ago, you agreed it was worth 100. So if you believe that it's worth $100,000, then we're going to move through with it. And I already got everything set up for closing tomorrow, and I hope to see you there. And if you don't believe that package is worth $100,000, well, then you're just not going to be there, and I'm okay with that. And she says, all right, I'll see you there tomorrow.
So
and we did it.
The key word: get creative and have cojones.
You have to, and you have to be creative, and you have to, come to realize that if you want to get paid more, you have to solve more problems. And in this case, I solved a massive problem for her. Her ex-husband has no idea she's in Texas, and that's worth, apparently to her, $100,000 and $300 a month.
It looks like Daniel over there has a question for us.
Talk to me.
There has been a massive level of content saying thank you for the nuggets, thank you for this, thank you for that, and we've got 40 people watching right now, so
nice.
They're really enjoying what you've got going on here. One of the comments was not so much a question, but says fish where nobody is fishing. Love it. Everybody learns. Shop for your buyers. Certain property types, certain zip codes, etc. Those people are getting too much marketing. They're empowered and in control of the deal. Meanwhile, there's people raising their hand, willing to give their property away, but no one is looking their way.
Good. So. Awesome, man. It's been great. I really want to appreciate and show big shout out to Ryan and Daniel and the team. And if it's okay, I want to give you guys a huge plug, because if you are wanting to get into real estate investing, one of the biggest things that you need to do and you need to have access to is the MLS, and Propelio allows you to do that without a license. So I'm a fan of Propelio. I am a user of Propelio because I'm not an agent. I said that, and I have no intention of ever becoming an agent. So I use it. You guys need to use it. I think they're in like 7,000 markets or something, or whatever.
We're getting there. We're trying.
Wherever it is. So connect with them. When is our mixer for San Antonio?
It's going to be February 26th. That's a Monday at the Carver Community Cultural Center. There's videos all about it. There's links everywhere. There's an event page. We just went live on the event. I built the event, I think, on Friday on Facebook, and I did the Eventbrite setup on Saturday, and I've already got over 130 people registered. Nice. So if you haven't registered, I need you to register, because I'm going to do like a really cool printout, like name badge, so it's not like the Sharpie thing.
Nice.
So if you don't register, you're going to be a Sharpie, and nobody likes a Sharpie.
Nobody likes a Sharpie.
So if you haven't registered, register now. Yeah.
I'll be there. I'd love to, shake some of your hands. You might have to listen to me for a few more minutes if they let me talk. But there's going to be a ton of people way more successful than anything I'm going to do in 2018 that are going to be speaking there. I know. Did we already confirm, Mitch?
Yeah, Mitch is going to be there.
Good. Mitch is going to be there. If you ever want to meet the god of owner financing in San Antonio, he's written books about it. Eric, I think, is going to be there. There's going to be a few other people there. They're very successful individuals.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. It's the first time we've done something like this. I have experience putting events together, but inherently these types of events with people try to make money off the event itself. That's why there's always a sales pitch. That's where there's always some sort of go to the back of the room and pull your credit card up, because
the 3-day event.
The typical event like this, there's always a speaker who splits half his sales commission with the event person. That's not our intention with this. Our intention is to have an ability to introduce people to Propelio branding wise, and it's just hey, let's meet you, let's meet us, and hopefully you get some networking, you have some fun, and maybe you learn something. Free booze, free food. So it's gonna be a fun event.
Nice.
We've already got several people from Dallas going. I'm going.
Nice.
So it may be 130 Dallas people at this event, but it'll be big. But
That's gonna be awesome.
so parting thoughts. Just if you were going to give a real estate investor, whether they're a new person, an intermediate, an expert, what is that super hashtags, because I'm 12, hashtag super golden nugget knowledge bomb in passing to an investor? Like, what is that main concept you can give to somebody to have a successful investing career?
You really have to develop your brain cells, for the lack of a better term, and think outside the box. If you are a newbie investor, maybe that means instead of only your cash offers, do a 12-month balloon offer with a little bit more money. You can put it on the MLS. If you're the intermediate investor, maybe it's a situation where you talk to them about how they can get interest on their money over the next 15, 20, 30 years. If you're an advanced investor and you're doing a ton of money, what are their big time problems? These strategies will work with one house or a portfolio of 100 houses. And actually they get even more fun and more powerful and extremely more advantageous when we're talking about taking down 100 properties at a time. So just realize that the money is in fishing where nobody's fishing. And that's really where the prize fishes are at. And if that's where you want to be at, go find out. Go fish with different baits and go fish in other places where nobody's fishing.
Well, again, thank you so much. If somebody wants to, in San Antonio, if they want to do business with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Give me a call. I'm happy to give out my cell phone. It's 210-998-1714. If you're in San Antonio, if you're local, if you're starting out or if you're advanced, give me a call. I'd love to do a cup of coffee. I'd love to do lunch. I am the president of the San Antonio Real Estate Investors Mastermind. And if you're an advanced real estate investor, I'd love to have a one-on-one conversation to see if maybe you'd like to participate in that. That's very, very successful. But if you're in San Antonio, hey, let's do lunch. As a personal goal for 2018, I meet with a minimum of 5 people that I've never met before over coffee or lunch. So help me meet my goal. Reach out to me.
Is that a day or
no, for a week.
Oh, I was gonna say
no,
5 for the entire year is not a very lofty goal.
For the year of 2018,
okay.
Meet on a weekly basis.
I didn't hear the weekly basis.
I didn't say it.
I just heard I'm gonna meet 5. I want to have five coffee. I was like, that's a very tiny goal.
No. Five people on a weekly basis that I've never met. So
well, I really appreciate you coming out here to San Antonio.
Thank you so much for having me.
So final parting thoughts: get creative, fish where nobody's fishing, in network. And then when you're in Waco, stop by Magnolia Market.
Oh, you need to. It doesn't matter if it's raining or it's not. You need to stop by.
Hey, again, we'll see you in San Antonio in February. If this is the first time you watched us, we do this every single day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. If you haven't liked our page, please like our page. If you haven't liked his page, Texas Cash Home Buyer, go like his page. It's free. Why not? All right, until next time, thanks again. We'll see you then.
Guys, have a great one.